in the world of Pokemon trading card game online, it's very difficult to get specific cards you need. The game gives you booster packs, which you can open and you can hope to randomly draw specific cards, or you can trade. And the game has a whole trading system, but the way that players trade for the most part is that they trade unlocked packs in exchange for cards. So for example, I would give you 10 packs of Brilliant Stars and you give me one Gengar VMAX. And that's generally how cards move through the game. And it can be expensive buying the code cards. And it does suck to give away essentially 100 cards for one card, but it is better, generally speaking, it's better to have the cards that you want rather than, 10 chances at pulling the cards. And you may get more out of that, but generally speaking, in the old economy, that's how it works. In PTCG Live, this trading is not a thing, and you can just use your points to unlock cards, and there isn't like a weird user-controlled economy for how much cards are worth. And as you'll see, the trade values of these cards are wildly different from one another. And I wanted to go through some examples of cards, talk about their trade values, and discuss like, is it worth trading for these cards? Because in certain cases, very good cards aren't worth trading for. There's certain cards that maybe aren't top tier that really are worth trading for. And the best way to gauge like how valuable a card is, how much you have to trade, is a site called PTCGO Prices. PTCGOprices.com tracks the trading activity in the game in real time, and you can see how much stuff is currently valued at. And I'm going to go through a couple of cards and say like, hey, are these worth it? Yes or no. Let's start with the top. The most popular card right now, Arceus V and Arceus V Star. These are not cheap to trade for, right? Let's look at the red number. This is what they're selling for. You're gonna have to trade 19 packs of Brilliant Stars to get an Arceus V. Like that's the common rate. And 30 packs, 30 for one Arceus V Star. Is it worth the trade? If you can spare the packs, yes. Arceus is an absolutely incredible card, but being able to hit for solid damage and charge up any Pokemon V is like incredibly helpful. Starbirth is an amazing ability, and if you've got just a whole smattering of V Pokemon that you haven't been able to use because the energy costs are too high, or you don't like have a full deck of those cards, you can pop Arceus in and make it work. Like I have a Gyarados deck that I'm hoping to stream at some point. I have a Darmanitan deck. Like almost any V becomes playable if you pair it up with Arceus, and because of that and all the other things it does, if you can afford the packs, and I should say you might want to go to a store like, actually let me change some stuff here real quick, make sure I don't dox myself in the process here. Yeah, we're gonna have to log out here. You can go to a place like Potown Store and buy packs. All right, so right now Brilliant Stars 44 cents Canadian a pack, which translates to US dollars. Yeah, 35 cents a pack times 30 packs. It's a lot. It's a lot. But is it worth it? It could be. I think that if you're going to make a big ticket purchase in cards, Arceus is great for that. Meg asks, you can also try messaging people on Instagram for codes. Yeah, please don't message me on Instagram or anywhere for codes. I will block you immediately. All right. Mew VMAX, right? We've been talking about this deck a lot. Been dominating the game for a long time. Arceus is creeping up there. Mew is probably still the top dog. And Mew is 45 packs for one Mew VMAX. I don't know if Mew is the best investment at 45. The problem is, I'm not saying Mew is bad. Like, I actually personally love the Mew deck. If you put me in a tournament, the deck I want to play is the Mew VMAX deck. The problem with trading for Mew is that you're also gonna have to trade for Mew V, and you're also gonna have to trade for Genesect. And your minimum, you're gonna want 2 Mew VMAX, 3 Mew V, and at that point, and like 4 Genesect, and you're over 100 packs at that point. And it could be upwards of 200 packs to get, 4 Mew Vs, 4 Genesects, 3 Mew V Max. If you want to go all in on one deck, sure, go for Mew V Max. But unlike Arceus, where you can kind of put it in a bunch of different decks, you're just locked into Mew, and that's it. And right now is actually not a bad time to be playing Mew. A lot of the hard counter decks have kind of cooled off online. That said, everybody knows how to play Mew. They're targeting it. Not as much as before, but it is very expensive. And if you've already pulled a couple of Mews and Genesects, then maybe it's worth it. But it is very expensive, especially if you don't have any like competitive decks right off the bat. Not necessarily the best investment right this second. Here's one. Shadow Rider Calyrex. This one trades for about 8 packs, and last year, and JF Raptor, happy Easter to you. Tell your parents I said hi. For a time, Shadow Rider Calyrex was the deck, and this currently trades for about 8 packs. I remember when these used to trade for like 20. Should you trade for these? It can be very strong. However, it's not as good as Mew VMAX. It gets targeted by the same stuff as Mew VMAX, and it's just not as strong. And you're gonna have to, and you need 4 of these. It's 32 packs. It's gonna be 40 something packs for the Shadow Rider package, and it kind of crumbles a little too easily to Path to the Peak. And on top of that, we do know that the Calyrex League Battle deck is coming, where if you buy the package, you'll get the physical cards and you'll get a 3/3. I'd say just buy this instead. Probably the better investment. But yeah, so I would leave Shadow Rider alone. I guess the same goes for, well, Ice Rider's a little different. I personally would recommend just buying the League Battle deck and you get the physical cards. But Ice Rider at only 4 packs, 4 packs per card, 4, 8, 12. This is going to be 20 something packs. It's a lot better if you have the Inteleon cards. So I'm going to say this is a TBD if you have like the Sobble, Drizzile, Inteleon. So you're looking for this Keep Calling Sobble, Shady Dealings Drizzile, and Shady Dealings Inteleon. These 3, like Shady Dealings Inteleon, Quick Shooting Inteleon. These are amazing cards, and I would almost say with certainty, if you're going, like, the first thing you should get are these cards. So the Quick Shooting Inteleon, Shady Dealings Inteleon. I know these are 4, and that's kind of expensive. 2 is not cheap. Drizzile is not necessarily cheap either. I keep spelling Drizzile wrong. However, this is kind of the backbone for so many different decks in the game, and by having it, it opens the door for a whole bunch of your cards to work better than they have before. That being said, if you want to play standard, these, like the Shady Dealings, Drizzile, and Inteleon are going away in a couple of months, and then the entire Inteleon line is kind of up in the air. So if you're going to do it as soon as you can, and make the most of the Inteleon line while you can. If you're gonna play them in expanded, then by all means go nuts, grab these first. They're incredible. Some other a card I think is being slept on right now. I think that the world is sleeping on Umbreon V and Umbreon V Max. At a certain point, Umbreon, I had to trade like 30 packs to get this card, and now it's down to 4, and Umbreon V is only 2. Umbreon V is a very strong Pokemon. It hits for, as part of the single strike deck, it hits for north of 200 damage. It hits Mew VMAX for weakness. And unlike a Gengar, Umbreon only hits, it's weak to grass and not to fighting, which everybody's playing right now to try and counter Arceus. And if you're looking for like a solid dark attacker at a budget, like getting, or a 12 under 20 packs, you can get the Umbreon line, pair that with some Houndooms. I think that's pretty great. Like Gengar by comparison, not saying you shouldn't get Gengar, but if Gengar is going to be way more expensive at this point. Like it's 16 packs per Gengar VMAX versus what, like 2 to 4 for Umbreon. And like if you're looking for like a budget version of Gengar, then Umbreon is a very strong pick, and its Dark Signal ability is basically a free boss's orders. So I don't sleep on Umbreon as a pick. I actually have, like, I've made my own Umbreon deck that doesn't have the single strike Urshifu in it. I do have that one too, but I think Umbreon is a great card to build the deck around if you're looking to build on a budget. A couple of other ones here to either pick up or avoid. I know we just pulled a Charizard V-Star. Currently, they trade for 3 packs for the V-Star, 1 pack for the V. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Charizard is, unfortunately, it's a little too slow to get charged up at 3 energy attachments, and you need to take damage, and you have to have the magma base. It's better than in the past. But to really get this card working, in my opinion, it's best as a secondary attacker to Arceus, and at that point, you need an Arceus too, and that's a whole other investment to ultimately play a mediocre Arceus deck. So I think you can leave Charizard alone for now. It might be cheap, it might be your favorite Pokemon. Charizard is not the most competitively viable. Yeah, not saying it's bad. It has placed in tournaments recently, but it's just not the best way to play Charizard or Arceus. We saw this card a bunch. Malamar, Rapid Strike Malamar. This is easy. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you've got those Inteleon cards. Once you grab the Inteleon cards, grab Malamar too, and you've got yourself a top tier deck. Right now, trading for half a pack per Malamar. So for 2 packs, you get 4 Malamars. That's all you really need. And yeah, just go nuts. So this is probably the easiest recommend of them all. If you're looking to build a budget deck, Malamar is the way to go. Couple of other cards to highlight here. Galerion Moltres. Both versions are actually sneaky good. I do like Galerion Moltres V, which is able to... It serves multiple purposes. It hits really hard. It hits for weakness on Mew. It has the ability to accelerate energy on its own, and with energy switches you can use it to accelerate other Pokemon too. Depending on what deck you're playing, you might be playing an Urshifu deck, you might be playing certain other decks. This one's great. And then the baby Moltres here for only 1 pack. You pair this with a Clara, and this can just end games because its Fiery Wrath move does 20 damage plus 50 more damage for each prize card. If you pair this up with Clara, which is another card that doesn't trade for that much. Yeah, like Clara is going to be a quarter of a pack. You can get all 4 for 1, right? You just set up scenarios where you play Clara, you draw the Moltres, you draw the energy, you put it on the board, and then, like, boom, just your opponent's automatically dead. Amazing investments all around there. I know I'm doing the speed round here. 2 more. Rayquaza. I know the Rayquaza V is only 1 to 2 packs, and Rayquaza V Max is 4 to 5 packs. I'm gonna say no, don't do it. Even it's a popular Pokemon, it does have the potential to hit 1-hit KO. There are cards like Rose that help it accelerate, and the Flaffies and all that. It is a clunky deck. I spent so much investing on this deck at the launch of this card, and it's a really clunky deck that I don't think it's worth the effort. It's kind of worth it if you already have Arceus, but it's still not the best way to play Arceus. So I would just avoid Rayquaza unless you've, like, already got the cards. And some sleeper picks here. Raichu is insane. Trading for only 1 pack, and Raichu is one of the best finishers in the game. If you're able to set up, like if you're playing an Arceus Raichu deck or just any other deck with electric energy and you've got the Flaffies going, Raichu can come in the middle of the game or the end of the game and just end it. Just smash something, 1-hit KO, and it's only trading for a pack. Absolutely insane. Grab these. And last but not least, I think that the world is sleeping on the Urshifu cards, which is weird because, in particular, Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX has continued to be one of the best cards in the game. Like, even in a post-Mew world, I think Robin Schulz won the London Regionals with a variant of Rapid Strike Urshifu V, and these are trading for like 1 to 2 packs each. It's absolutely insane, and they're incredibly cheap, incredibly strong. Like, absolutely. And you can put these in so many different decks. There are so many different ways to play Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. For this price as one of your first decks, absolutely. And Single Strike is not bad either. Single Strike Urshifu VMAX is trading for what? The V is 1 pack and the VMAX is 1 pack. No, this is nuts. I know it's a little clunky here and there, but Single Strike Urshifu VMAX with its Gmax 1 blow and the Houndooms can knock it like 1-hit KO pretty much any Pokemon in the game, and you can build a really good deck with, you know, and if you pair this with the Umbreons, which are also cheap, just build yourself a really strong single strike deck with like very few packs. So there we go. Those are a couple of recommendations on, hey, should you trade for these cards? Yes or no in Pokemon TCG. Again, it's going to depend on what cards you already have, what cards you really want. But at the end of the day, like, you spend your cards however you want. I just wanted to provide some advice and recommendations on, you know, what's kind of, you know, generally worth it and what isn't. Let me know in the comments or in the chat which you think are worth trading for, or if you disagreed or agreed with any of my points.